On the 17th of January 1961, the dreams of a newly independent Congo were shattered when Patrice Lumumba, the nation's first prime minister, was brutally assassinated in the secessionist province of Katanga. 6 decades later, this pivotal moment in African history serves as the backdrop for a powerful and poignant production. Through the lens of Katanga's tumultuous past, this production seeks to strengthen African artistic collaboration, foster an exchange of stories, and celebrate the rich liberation heritage that unites the continent. To tell us more about the production, we're joined by Katanga January 17th production director Khutso Green and actor Nji Alain. A very good morning to you two. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Good morning, Xavier.
Good morning,
good to be here.
And I have a feeling this will be a very interesting discussion.
I'm sure it will
about a very interesting character.
Yes, indeed.
I'm going to start with you. What really inspired you, to direct a play on Patrice Lumumba?
Well, I was called in to come and direct this piece, and this is a journey that we started in 2022 when we had a staged reading of the show at the Market Theatre in the John Kani. Right. And so at that time, it was really about listening to whether there's resonance with the story at the time. And so at the time, we just did like monologues of a child soldier. Patrice Lumumba had written a letter to his wife, and so we read that out, and there was like sections about what his ideologies were, and then there was the executioner at the time. So now it has evolved and it has developed, and so there is a poetic narrative that Ntate Lesego Rampolokeng has written, which I think is an imagined way of trying to understand what Patrice might have been going through during his time of assassination. It's beautifully written, and so I think then 2 years later we found the funds and the ability to be able to stage it. And I think so it's very important to be telling stories like this, one, to unify the continent, but also to change the narrative around how Africa is seen, right? So oftentimes we talk about the dark side of Africa. We don't actually talk about or celebrate rather and pay homage to the great leaders like Patrice Lumumba. So and his ideologies and his dream and his legacy for what he envisioned for Africa is quite important for us to be reminded of it. So that's why we feel that it's important at this time to be able to talk about Patrice.
It's quite interesting that you say that part of the reason why the play was conceptualized in the first place is to understand the ideologies of Patrice Lumumba. And how then do you envision this play contributing to the narrative around African heritage and liberation? Yeah,
so we come into the play through the lens of the child soldier, which is then a ramification of how, like the assassination, which has led to the destruction and the recruiting of child soldiers. And then we move into the past as well, to his ideologies. And so I think it's critical to try to understand where he might have been coming from. I mean, he didn't even have enough time to rule as a prime minister. Like 1960, Congo gets its independence, and then 1961, he's assassinated. Like not even 6 months, not even a year did he get to implement the ideologies that he had for the country. So I think it just is a reminder that if truly we want Pan-African unity, these are the things that we have to deal with and to really wrestle with. And
now, Nji, let me also bring you. You are the star of the show, and what really inspired, the interpretation of your character, and how much of a struggle was it stepping into the shoes of a giant, in a way?
Oh no, he doesn't play Lumumba.
Yes. Oh, you don't play Lumumba? Or he's just one of the actors?
Yes.
I play the executioner.
Okay, let's talk about, the interpretation of that particular character. Yes. How did, the story develop?
It was very hard for me to even play the role of the executioner because it's anti what I would love to do. So I was talking to the director, Mami Kujo, to say, hey, Mami, help me get into a place where I don't want to be. She said, no, Nji, take it as a character. Like, I just don't want to take it as a character because I feel related to the story. I feel very related to the story, and it'll be hard for me to play a person that I don't want to be. The person who takes away the life of a great person and an ideologist like Patrice Lumumba. I felt like, no, Mami, I don't want to be that. She said, Nji, just imagine that you are that person, right? The executioner. Not because you want to be, but because people have brought you to be that person. So I said, okay, it's fine. The Belgians decided to make me a person that I don't want to be. They turned me against my brother. So it took me back to what we actually go through now as Africans, where we have hatred for one another. So I said, let me be that African brother who would make another person know that we have to, first of all, be united as Africans and not let the Europeans divide us like they did in the past. The issues that we're experiencing today is not because we don't have resources, it's because we as Africans have turned against one another. So let me portray that brother who's turned against another brother and has brought down the vision of having a united Africa.
What did playing that role teach you about the self-hatred that we have as Africans and the hatred that we have for other Africans?
A lot, and I don't even know how to start unpacking that. It really, I'm still in the process actually to see what can I do in this play as a character to make the audience feel empathy for one another. How can we change our perspective? And we cannot erase borders anymore. We can't erase borders, they will always be, it's been there. But now, how can we go and look beyond borders?
Right.
How can I not just see somebody and I call them a Congolese? Why can't I really use the Ubuntu term and say brother? And I mean what I mean. Yes, not my brother from the Congo, my brother from Cameroon. No, my brother. And it stays like that. When I treat you as like a brother, I treat you as a brother for real, irrespective of boundaries. So I'm still looking, and the director will help me to get into a character in a way where someone will really feel like.
Unfortunately, we are out of time, but if you want to see the rest of the story, where should we just give us the details?
We will catch it at the Market Theatre in the Manimam Theatre from the 7th of September to the 22nd of September. And tickets can be bought at Web Tickets.
Right. I'd love to see that. I definitely would love to see that. Lovely chatting to you too. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Great stuff.